Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is, what's today? Monday? Tuesday?
Today's Wednesday.
Is it? No, it's not. It's not really Wednesday. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it is Wednesday. And
In orientation, the time, date, and place.
we got a lot to talk about today. And I don't even know where to begin, but
Well, Merry effing Christmas to you. It's going to be interesting to see. City
but
can't
let
pay its bills. City can't pay its bills. Bishop Electric was fired by Olivera.
yeah.
And they say that they can't afford to pay for their services anymore. They used to replace the street lights that were out and the traffic signals. It will now be handled by the former police department, which doesn't have any money in its budget for this. So how are they supposed to afford this if they can't afford Bishop Electric, who hasn't been paid for 8 months?
Well,
But after Brian Bishop posted that, the mayor came back and said, your bills have been submitted. But they're last year's bills, Paul. Last year. That means they got to go before the city council to be paid.
uh,
Or are you going to finagle something else? Like the park department was asked to do when they put up the Christmas lights in the park, and they were told, bill it next year. And they were told, you can't do that.
well, you
Doesn't
know why
matter.
we
Do it
can't?
anyway.
Well, what's the normal cause? Hey, Marcy, what's the normal cause of people delaying paying their bills? They don't have the money. The city doesn't have the money. The city is broke. And Paul Coogan has created a situation where the city is broker than ever. It's always been running on a shoestring for the last probably 15 or 20 years. We've had mayors that just never stop spending. And, but let me first, I, I was just, let me digress a minute and let's all think about the earthquake that they've had and the tidal waves that are threatening Hawaii and all of the Pacific, many areas of the Pacific, the west coast of United States, the Alaska. These are very dangerous things that virtually wiped Japan out. The last one they had, but unlike America, where our government doesn't work, Japan built its entire country, including its roadway network, in about 3 months. The entire country was back to normal. It took them 10 years to paint the Braga Bridge, but this is what we got. When you're talking about Paul, oh, the bills have been submitted. He's always got some half-baked deflection or excuse. They've been submitted. But when are they going to be when are they going to be paid? Is that new? No. I told you before about when I was on the job at a fire. We had a house blow up on Charles Street.
Oh, the tire.
When a tire on a fire apparatus was flat, and they reported it to me because I was the chief, and I called the mechanic. I called the shop and got the master mechanic down there, and I said, we need a tire on the engine. And he said, okay. And he left to get the tire. And then about 15, 20 minutes later, he came back and he said, it's going to take a while to get the tire. I said, well, we can't move the apparatus. I said, I'd like to release some of this. I'd like to release that piece of equipment back to its own district. And he said, I said, what's the problem? He said, I can't get a tire in Fall River. He said, I've called all over the Fall River area. I have to go to Brockton for a tire because Fall River owes every tire company in the general Fall River area money. And nobody wants to give them anything else until they pay their bill. And we saw when they were talking about not having money for stamps. I was in the room when they wanted to send out something on healthcare, and they asked the employees to chip in for the stamps. I said, no, you want to send something out, you pay for it. We're not paying for your stamps. We have to give them $1 million to keep the Canadian healthcare plan to save us millions of dollars of it. We did it to keep it for ourselves. Listen, this city is like a rudderless ship with Coogan at the helm. He's a moron. I've never seen anybody so incompetent. There's nothing that he's expert in except being a buffoon. He could have been a court jester during the medieval era. But I was sent a video of a school committee meeting, and I watched in horror as the meeting went on, in the total disregard or absence of knowledge that Paul Coogan has as a chair from chairing a meeting. I mean, Joe Camara's not that great. Look, you know how to chair a meeting because you've chaired a lot. I've chaired hundreds of meetings under Atwood's Rules of Order, Robert's Rules of Order. I know Cushing's rule. That's what the political bodies use, but they're fundamentally the same with a little latitude. We know the Rules of Order. I watched Paul Coogan virtually second every motion. Who made it? Mimi Larrivee, and Paul seconds it. Why? Because they're his motions. They're things that he wants to do.
That's right.
And you know something? People are going to say, well, he can't second the motion. But I'm going to read you Robert's Rules of Order to comment on that. Because the chair can normally second motions, but they don't, because the chair is supposed to run the meeting. The chair can second motions, but it's generally advised that they refrain from doing so to maintain impartiality. Paul doesn't even care about being viewed at, oh, we use Roberts? Well, he violated Robert's Rules of Order. Well, he didn't technically violate it, but he made himself not look impartial, which is good. So now, so the people who watch those meetings know. And then the other thing is, as a chair, did you talk to people? Did you talk to people like you were at a bar? I mean, I watched that meeting. It's horrifying. It's horrifying to watch this clown. He thinks he's in his living room. Oh, come on, Kevin. Come on, Kevin. What do you think you're doing? Oh, college, stop it. Stop. That's what a chair does? No, a chair's got a gavel. A chair's supposed to run a meeting with order. You're supposed to have decorum. You're supposed to do things right. You're supposed to make a motion. People start talking in the middle. Somebody's making a motion. We got side conversations. You got everything. It's absurd. It is a symptom of the problem in his city. We have no leader. He proved at that meeting. Everybody watch the video. Because it's horrifying to watch this.
Just watch any school committee meeting.
Oh, I know.
That's the way it goes on.
This meeting was ununbelievable.
Yeah,
When he
it's like that all the time, though.
He didn't wait for anybody else. Mimi Larrivee.
Thank God she's not running.
I make a motion, Paul. Oh, and the other one was from Mimi Larrivee. Go get Shelley Pereira in the room. Oh, the vote was tied. We got to get Shelley in. No, you don't do that. You're screaming in the middle of a meeting to go get somebody that's absent from a vote. You're absent from the vote. You don't get the vote. You don't go get them only when you want their vote. This is outrageous. Outrageous. It shows that we have nothing more than a corrupt leader that knows absolutely nothing, and he's a bonehead. He can't even run a simple-ass meeting. Paul, if you need a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, I'll loan you mine. If you need a copy of Atwood's, I'll loan you my copy. I'll even make notes for you. But for God's sakes, you're supposed to be the chief executive officer of this city. Learn how to run a freaking meeting like someone who actually does know how to run a meeting. It shows the chaos that we have in this city. This is a clown show. It's like a club over there. If you're in the club, you get to talk. If you're not in the club, they shut you up. They talk over. They're yelling for people to come in to vote. It's nuts. It's nuts. I've never seen anything like it. You would be removed from the chair in any group worth its weight if you chaired meetings this way. You would immediately be removed. You can't make these kind of errors. But you got a bunch of buffoons on these committees that don't know the rules either and don't care about the rules. When we used to have conventions at the International Association of Firefighters, there were 8,000 firefighters, presidents of unions from all over the United States and Canada. If the chair made one error, the most minute violation of the rules of order, you had 50 guys running to a microphone. There were microphones all over that massive auditorium. We used to have 8,000 people. They were running to the mic screaming, point of order, point of order. They would make him look like an idiot. We had a parliamentarian sitting at the chair on the dais to make any rulings on rules of order. There is a sense, there's supposed to be a sense of decorum, but there's no decorum in this city. It's whatever Paul wants, we get, regardless if we disobey laws, the Constitution, or Robert's Rules of Order.
Well, I just received some information.
Rules of order, but what you have is Coogan's Rules of Disorder.
Yeah, well, I just received some information that a school committee member was name called by Paul during an executive session yesterday, and that Shelley Pereira left the meeting. So, what is it, Paul? Are you a child?
Yes.
Are you in the third grade recess? Nah. You got a big nose. You're a fart bag. What is it, Paul? Are you a child? Do you need orientation to time, date, and place? Do we got to get you on meds? Put you in a nursing home? You look like you need a nursing home. After all, you can't pay the freaking bills. Explain this to me, Paul. Bishop didn't get paid. 14 years. 14 years. Maybe 15. He put up the Christmas lights in this city for free. He did the electrical work down at Veterans Memorial Park on the Vietnam Wall. He put all those lights in, all that wiring, again, for free. And you couldn't pay 8 months worth of his bills? But Oliveira could turn $200,000 back from DCM to pay for trash. But you couldn't pay your bills. But you found the $200,000 to pay for trash.
Can you trust anything this individual says? The answer, that's a rhetorical question. The answer is no. And at yesterday's meeting, again, their appalling lack of consideration for the people of Fall River was, again, you know what they were talking about? There's a rule that they have to end the meetings by 10:30 so they can all go home. I'm sorry. That rule should not exist. You have a meeting till the business is done. You are not representing the city of Fall River and its people if you want to go home or you're going to piss and moan about having limp lettuce in your sandwich. It's good that she's not running for re-election because we have another child on there. You know, Paul Coogan calls names. You realize that according to the Massachusetts Supreme Court opinion, we have the right to call them names.
That's right.
The chair does not have the right to call other people names. The chair's responsibility is to ensure that the group that he's in charge of maintains their decorum. The people who are school committee people are supposed to operate under those rules, and the chair, you know what the chair does when somebody calls somebody a name? They tell them, this is your only warning. If you don't, we're going to remove you from the meeting, or you get the sergeant at arms to remove you and get you out. It's the same thing with any other thing that's a gross abuse of and making disorder in a meeting. That's what a meeting's done. But these people want to go home. They don't care about you. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. When I had to stay till 2 o'clock in the morning, 1, 2 in the morning at Government Center negotiating a contract at a GLMC with the arbitrator, Mr. Boulanger, who the police had a few years ago, and they lost that arbitration, but we had him twice. I believe it was the second arbitration. The last couple of meetings went from 9 o'clock in the morning until 1 or 2 at night. The last night, he said, I said, we're staying here till we lock this up. And we stayed there till 2 o'clock in the morning negotiating a contract for our membership. And the city had to stay. And you know what I said to them when they whined? Tough shit. You hungry? We'll order pizza. We're staying here and we're getting this done. And this is what, we got to go home at 10 o'clock. Oh, we got to go home at 10:30. That's an important, we can't change that rule. Shut up. Somebody wanted to get rid of the rule. No, they didn't even consider the motion. I mean, it's chaos. I mean, I can't look at this, too long. It'll, I'll start hitting myself in the head with a ball-peen hammer because these people are just they're so obviously incompetent, and they are so shamelessly don't give a shit about the people that they represent or the school department or anything. They have their own agenda, and it's obvious. And Colin, I appreciate you calling. I will be filing a complaint. I'm glad mine is going to be like War and Peace. And I'm announcing today that when I file this complaint, I will be filing a copy of this complaint about how this board acts in violation of their constitutional duty to be answerable to us and not allow some of its members to be answerable by asking their questions. And I will cite the legal precedents and the Constitution and everything else. That's why it's taken a while. But I'm not going to just send it to the school committee. I'm going to send it to the Secretary of Education in the state of Massachusetts.
Useless.
I know, but still I'm sending it. I don't care. I know it's useless, CJ. But they can't say they didn't know. I'm going to send it to the governor, and I'm going to send it to all of them. And then let them it continue. And when we have an election, let people who are running tell everybody and show everybody. I will make that complaint when it's complete. I will CC those people. I will send it to the school committee and the superintendent of schools, and then we're going to post it on our Facebook page, and everybody can read the complaint, and you can share the complaint. Yeah, look, they're all useless, Colin. They're all political organizations. It was like saying we're going to have an audit by somebody affiliated with the state. That's like saying you're going to have the wolf audit the hen house. No. We have politicians looking to say they want to know where our money is and how it's been used and misused. You need an independent forensic audit, not working in partnership with some state auditor or some state auditor's office, because these people are political hacks. They will succumb to leverage. You will have every Fall River area politician and all their friends leveraging them to, they cover it up. We don't do forensic. Number one, forensics audits a specialized field. A forensic auditor.
Dave Oliveira says, I think I made my citizens' input clear. LOL. We have the committee of walkouts.
Well, you're true. He's right. We need, you're right, Mas. We need a forensic audit, because a forensic audit, that's why their hair bursts into flames. That's what happened to me when we did that. I lost my hair when we commissioned the forensic audit. I'm only kidding. No, because
speaking of forensic audits, just remind our audience what happened and what was found when you did the forensic audit for the health system.
Okay, we'll start at the beginning, and it shows how it goes, because some things don't change, just the names. Although now it's at a greater degree on the Coogan. The city had a headline. I still have it somewhere. It hit the Herald News that the city was broke. We had no money in the healthcare system, and that we were going to have to choose between healthcare. Yeah, that's who we need. Yeah. But said we were broke, and I knew that we weren't broke, because we were getting monthly reports on a trust fund, and I knew we had money in our trust fund. But they said they were broke, just like they're broke now. But they are broke. See, what happened then? History has repeated itself because they never learned. They spent all their money. We kept ours in an account like we're supposed to, and we kept it in there for to cushion increases and did the right thing. So they told us we had the big headline. So I took a hand calculator, which now I have on my phone. I don't have to carry a calculator around anymore. And I walked into the city administrator's office and said, I want all the bills. I called Blue Cross. I said, I want all the bills for the year. Well, it wasn't difficult. You didn't have to be a forensic auditor. You do it and make the audit, but I just wanted to prove something. So I got the bills for the year, and I know there's runoff claims, but up until that date, then I took the premium that every single employee paid for the year, how much we paid in, and the city had to supposedly put in 3 times as much. But it was our account they were talking about. So I took everything we paid, and I did the numbers. And we had paid enough money and paid to pay all the bills and had between $500,000 and $600,000 left over for our share, which means the city should have had $1.5 million. So I walked in and I said, "You're wrong. This is wrong." And they said, "Okay, we're going to give you to $500,000." Then I went, "No, there's something fishy. They're agreeing too easily." So I did that for the previous 5 years, and every single year there was money missing based on what we paid. And our trust fund was not given the money that it should have been given. So I said, "Well, that's beyond my scope now. You go to the experts." And I said, "Okay, we're filing a grievance, and and how can we make sure we get every penny that's coming to us?" So I said, "We got to do a forensic audit." So we hired Ernst & Young, one of the premier auditing companies on the planet. And we said, "We want a forensic audit done of the healthcare plan." And they said, "Okay." And they came down, and their head accountant was named Jerry McGovern. He had just got done with $1 trillion audit of the state of Tennessee. He was an expert in the field. Came down, and I said, "Okay, you don't give guys like that directions. You just say, 'I'm turning you loose. There you go.'" I walked them down to City Hall, introduced them to the city administrator and the personnel director at the time, and I said, "Here you go. Take it away, Jerry." Half an hour later, I got a call. Got to get back down there. He said, "I've never seen anything like this. They don't have any documented evidence of anything here. Nothing's on a computer. They got slips of paper in different cabinets, and they expect me to sit on the floor and sift through papers." He said, "I can't do that. I get $500 an hour. Hire somebody from down here to get this paperwork straight. I'll tell them what I need, because I'm not going to abuse this and charge you this money." That's what happened. So we got the numbers. Then we went to the arbitration. And we had proven that they had embezzled more than around $2 million. And we wanted, yeah, no, you're right. He was a thug when he ran a fire department. He tried to bully people, and he got bounced, and he used this position for political gain. But to get back to the audit, so we had proved everything. Ernst & Young had given us the full auditing report, and a forensic audit not only makes sure that they account for every single penny, but they also look at if the money was spent within the law. In other words, did you go out for bids when you were supposed to go out for bids? Did you comply with investment laws and all the other laws? That's why Sutter one time said, "Oh, that's a criminal audit." It's not a criminal audit. I said it's an audit that makes sure that things are done in accordance with the law. Now, he's right. A forensic audit is the only audit they normally use in a court of law, because it is a specific audit that will specify what laws and fiduciary obligations were not followed. So under oath, the treasurer and the auditor of the city of Fall River admitted to numerous illegal activities, backdating checks from one fiscal year to the other, which we all know, that is illegal. You're supposed to close the books at the end of the fiscal year. In order to pay a bill from a previous year after the end of the fiscal year, you have to go for a special appropriation to pay a bill that from a previous year. And you know, he said, wait till next year to bill us. That's actually illegal. Paul Coogan was telling him to do something illegal. I'm glad you brought that up, that he told him, bill us next year. Well, that's actually illegal. Because if you get a bill for next year from last year, this year, and the books have been closed for the fiscal year, you're supposed to go in front of the council for a special appropriation. This is the way it works. And it's a problem for them because I know how it works because I've done it. I know how it's supposed to work. So they first admitted that they backdated checks, which is illegal, and we had copies of the checks from Ernst & Young. They backdated numerous checks. Then they said, then Neil started tracking the other money that was flying all over the place, helter-skelter, with no rhyme or reason. And of course, they picked it up. They said, we have no idea what this money was for, why it went over there. It's just like money changing hands, like in a back alley. And Neil asked them a very specific question. They were both there, and he put both of them on a stand and asked them the same question. And he got fundamentally the same answer. He said, Mr. the auditor at the time, or Mr. or the treasurer at the time, he said, this $800,000 transfer from account 111. Yes. What's that account for? I don't know. You don't know? No. He said, all I know is it's got a bank number on it, and it's a city account. But you don't know what it's for? No, I don't. Okay. You don't know what it's for. Okay. Now that $800,000 is transferred from account 111 to account 112. What's 112? I don't know. Same thing. I have no idea. Well, why did you transfer the money from 111 to 112? Well, I got a directive to do that from the personnel director or the city administrator. So then he said to both of them at one point, and I have all this. This is not, my memory is not serving me correctly. We can prove it, but it is. Because we actually hired a court stenographer. Every single word of that arbitration was taken by a court stenographer under oath. We had 8 volumes that are about this thick. And they're sitting in Neil Rossman's office. The union used to have them, but I'm sure they've disappeared by now. So Rossman asked them, so hypothetically, if account 112 was my account and you got a note to transfer $800,000 from 111 to 112, you would have transferred it. Is that correct? And the answer to that was yes. I guess so. And remember, this was in 1991. And at the end of that arbitration, that arbitrator's award opened with this. It said, there is no doubt that the city of Fall River's books were in a total state of disarray. That was the opening. I still remember it vividly. And at the end of the arbitration, when we had to agree to let them pay over a year and give us 3 months free Blue Cross to every single person and a premium reduction for the remaining 9 months, we got it with interest. The city promised to fix the books. Well, they did. In 2008, they did exactly the same thing. They came to me at the time because I was getting ready to retire. I didn't run because I got off the job in 10. I wasn't going to run. They came to me and I said, yeah, they're doing exactly the same thing. And they didn't have to have an audit this time because the mayor knew that he got caught at the time. And they paid them the money. We got free Blue Cross again. And that's when Coogan, the nitwit, Paul, said, oh, you guys got a holiday. And he didn't even know that the 2 holidays he was referring to was the city paying us back our own money. They had to pay us back the money and put it back. So, but They did it again in '08. Then shortly thereafter, they found 5 other insurance accounts, not health insurance, but other general insurance accounts that had been dormant for 25 years. And then in 2016, we found money again that had been that was supposed to be directed to the city employee trust fund, but had gone to the city, and they gave me the number of the money, and I checked it, and it was correct. And then I said, okay, I want to know, and I wrote a letter. I still have a copy of the letter. I wrote a letter to Mary Sahadi and to the mayor at the time that I wanted to know exactly how that money got into the city account, not ours again, and when and where it migrated through for the nearly year that they had it, almost a year and a half they had it. The only response I got was a verbal response when they told me, well, we know how it got there. She said, these are what they call self-pay. We have some people that are retired that don't have it taken out of their check. They go down to the city hall, write a check, and give the city a check for their portion of the health care. And it inadvertently, and I'm being facetious, but that's what they said, it inadvertently got put into the city account. So it's like, how can it be inadvertently put in the city account when it was for the employee's share of a health care? But this is the way the city is run. It's always been run like this, and it is now it's not even exponentially 10 times as bad. It's infinite. It's infinitely worse than it ever been under Coogan. Nobody knows where anything is. Yeah, GoFundMe. Yeah, that's tragic, George.
The city already has a GoFundMe. It's called taxes.
And boy, are they wearing that account out, because I'm tired of that account. We all are. And this is the problem. But this is why we need a forensic audit. Anybody that really wants to fix this city, I'm not talking about I want to get a job so I can give all my friends jobs. I want to, and the way they treat not only the people, but its vendors. Imagine having a vendor that's been working for this city this long, done a lot of free things.
35 years.
And then you kick them to the curb. Oh, and by the way, being the union guy that I am, I'm shouting out now to the police union. Send a letter to the city right now. You want to reopen negotiations. That's a unilateral change in the working conditions of your people. They're assuming work that they did not have before. Therefore, you got to negotiate a pay raise for them, because they weren't doing that before. You expand the duties, and if it's not a de minimis impact, it is bargainable. I've done that before. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get it cheaper. That union should reopen right now and say, we want more money, because that's the way the law goes. Yeah, you're right, Fred. You are right. Truer words were never spoken. It's time. Hey, maybe it's karma. Not 25. Remember the last time we had a major change in the voting? It was 95. It was a 5. Year ending in a 5. 30 years ago, we had an uprising at the polls, and the things that were being done 30 years ago were pale by comparison for what's being done to this city now. I mean, we have a criminal organization here. They just don't abide by laws. They don't care about their duty. And like you said, you're right. What's frustrating is until one of us hits the Powerball and we want to commit a few million to suing them, they go unaddressed. You can complain all you want to the ethics committee. You get nothing. Oh, boo-boo, stop it. I know that Colin went to the ACLU and complained and got a positive result. They slapped them, but they still ignore it. You should go back to the ACLU and tell them that they're violating the Constitution of the state by not allowing you to, and you have the case law to give them. But it's I've never seen anything like this. I mean, and then this guy, like you said, it's like watching a child. It's like watching a child. You got to listen. You got to grow a thick skin. You're chairing a meeting. People are going to get rowdy sometime when they're upset. That's the price of leadership. You're going to be up there, and you are going to be. Yeah, that's where the buck stops. They're going to. I always had a saying to the guys in my union, we were all happy after we got a good contract that the bargaining committee and I and our attorney worked our ass off for them for 2 years to get. And everybody was happy as a clam. I used to say, yeah, I'm going to remind all you guys, all these guys on a bargaining committee, we were there till 2 o'clock in the morning in City Hall. We were giving up our time. I was doing all kinds of research. The lawyer was here. We were all, and we're not doing it for the crowd, but just want to recognize one thing. Just remember, you know what your attitude is? When things go good, we did it. When things go wrong, you did it. Oh, it's the president's fault. Oh, is it? But and it's true. Unfortunately, that's true because the buck does stop with you. You take a position. You're supposed to execute the duties of that position, not act like a 6-year-old that's having a backyard party and then we're having an argument and you're going to talk to people like you're in your living room or something like that. I mean, that means...
Oh, friggity who! You insulting me! You can't do that! I'm the chairman!
Stop it, Colin! Stop it! You're making me mad. Look at my lettuce is
Look at my face turn red.
That's right. My lettuce is limp in my sandwich. I got to go home by 10:30. Otherwise, I'll turn into a pumpkin. I mean, these people are they're disgusting. But calling them representatives of the people, it's like calling Joe Stalin, a liberal. It's like, okay, he's a commie. It was like, okay, you call him anything. I mean, this is crazy. You look at this stuff now. And I mean, the city council, Joe Camara, he's not good, but at least he's, like, for the most part, passable. Every once in a while, he does a major faux pas. But these people don't take the time to learn the rules. It's like, you think, how long are you going to stay on a baseball team if every time you hit the ball, you run up the third baseline instead of the first baseline? The coach is going to bench you and say, figure out where the first baseline is, and you're never going to get back in the game. All these people should be thrown out of the game. I watched Mimi Larrabee. She's a disgrace. She talks over people, yelling in the middle of the meeting. Go get Shelley, Parrott. Go get Shelley. Go get Shelley. We knew their vote. What the? The chair should have maybe just like kind of missed gavel and maybe whacked her a little bit to wake her up.
You're being a misogynist.
Misogynist? No, it got nothing to do with her being a female. It's just got to do with her being a dummy. And I can say that. Remember, you want to call me a misogynist again, call me a misogynist. Because number one, being a misogynist is not illegal.
That's right.
Secondly, if I'm a misogynist, you're a misandrist. I don't know if you looked it up from the last time I used the word, because most people don't know what a misandrist is. It's the female equivalent of a misogynist. It's a woman who doesn't like men. So there you go. And I can call you that. And remember, the state called it. Seems like, yeah. Well, listen, every time Colin shows up, he hits a nerve. He doesn't even have to say anything. Kevin hits the nerves once in a while and they get irritated. But Colin is like gasoline walking into a fire. And it's like they see him and they go, Jesus, here come the questions. We don't want to hear it. This guy is a real pain. Why? He's doing the people's business. And good for him. Good for him. And because this is crazy. You look at the way this city is being run. It's a 3-ring circus. And the problem is, unless you go to court, and who's going to spend that to prove it? I would if I had the money. Like, rich people can go to court. Like if somebody says something, that is not true about them in a rag magazine like the Inquirer or something, they can spend $5 million suing the Inquirer so the court can say they lied and they have to issue an apology for the principle of the thing. But everybody doesn't have the money to fight the city because the city will keep appealing and appealing and appealing and appealing until you get to the SJC and you and everybody in your neighborhood will be bankrupt. Your houses will be mortgaged up to bankruptcy, and you win. But it's not because it's not everything they do, and they do a lot of illegal things. They are not. It is not. It is illegal. It is legally wrong, and it is morally wrong. But the problem is, what is immoral is that we cannot fight it, because you can't fight City Hall, not because they're not wrong. It's because you can't afford to, because they're gonna fight you with your own money, hire a whole bunch of lawyers to fight against you. So you're going to be paying your lawyer and their lawyer, but you'll win. How many times? Name me 5 cases of any consequence that this city has ever won. Can you, in all the years you've been doing this, and we've been doing this, can you name me 5 cases? I can't even remember one that they ever won that was of any consequence. Remember the Dominion case, CJ?
The Dominion case?
Yeah, the Dominion. When
you mean where I took my phone and said, I have the decision. 5 seconds. I have the decision.
Yeah, that was great. There the city was making excuses like Coogan always does. They were right the same thing. There they were making well, and somebody said, well, they sent you a letter. Well, we can't find a letter. We don't know what a letter. I don't think the letter exists. I don't know it. And CJ picks up his phone and goes like this. I'm watching him, and CJ goes, oh, there it is. We got it right here. It's like 6 seconds on Google, and he found the opinion. Our legal department that was making, I don't know how much, the entire legal department couldn't find that. CJ found it in 5 minutes on Google.
And I'm not a lawyer.
You're right, Jeff. It is the time to put up or shut up. It's time for the people. Listen, I'm going to call it the way I see it. If the city doesn't wake up now after 3 terms of this guy, if these people who are running for office do not want to put in the time, the new people, knocking on the doors and telling people to get to the polls and showing them why, showing them these numbers and reminding them, like we did in a recall and like was done in 95, the people were pissed at the council and they bounced 5 of them out. That time is, and if we don't, we have proven one thing. We can be as upset as we want, but this city is dead. We're done. Because 2 more years of Coogan, we will be in receivership. You know, we can't pay the electric company that subcontracts for the city. We're arrears in all our bills, but Paul Coogan is telling you that this city is okay.
Just look at the trash bill. $1.5 million. We couldn't pay it.
$2 million in health care.
That's right.
Well, Paul Coogan continues to tell the people, and his cronies still continue to tell you that he's doing a wonderful job. He is.
We're flush with cash.
For his developer friends. I mean, speaking of developer friends, CJ, don't you?
Yes. Yesterday, CBS News. Not some rinky-dink news organization, not somebody like Spindle City Straight Talk, but CBS News broke the news that a local businessman developer has been named in a federal lawsuit in regards to Stewart Healthcare, where allegedly $245 million was taken by Del Toro, who was the president, and 3 board members, one of whom was listed as James Karam. Our investigation further revealed that we're talking about the father, not the son. And he posted on his professional dossier, Stewart Healthcare, board member. So this is what happens in Fall River. And I called and read the riot act to the local news organization, why they didn't name him in their stories, if any stories. Well, he's up for an appointment with the Rhode Island Department of Education. I said, so what? He's on the board for Bristol Community College, UMass, and several other gubernatorial appointees. I didn't realize the station was just as corrupt as the politicians.
Well, these are allegations.
They're all allegations.
They're allegations, but should be reported.
I have read the filing, and he is named in the filing.
Yeah, well, we found it, and it is extremely, but everybody is innocent and proven guilty. I read the filing. Well, we'll be perfectly truthful. We actually got it sent to us. It got sent to me by an anonymous source. And CJ and I looked it over and we investigated it before we even talk about it. It is true. He is one of the considered a quote I guess a co-conspirator. But of course, they are going to defend themselves. But we all know about that Del Toro or Del Torre or whatever his name is. I got the list on my phone. I'm not going to even bother looking it up. But he had $1 million yachts and he had all kinds of homes, and they were talking about his lavish lifestyle. And so he was the CEO of the company, and they said he spent a lot of their money recklessly and he misappropriated it. And the allegation is that these three individuals from their board, and their board is far larger than just that, but those three individuals from their board also were part of some machinations with investments and stuff like that, and they used the money improperly. So we will see what happens in court. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of coverage, but what disturbs me about this thing is that if a local media outlet is worried about covering something because somebody is too powerful and they're going to be put in their state on the head of a very powerful board, that says what's happening to our society in this country. When we allow people to become too powerful, they accuse Trump of being a king, but can't be a king. The president can't get crap through it unless the Congress gets it through and the Senate gets it through. But these congressmen and these super ultra rich people become so wealthy that they get put on every single board everywhere, and they can get anybody a job anywhere in Rhode Island or Massachusetts. They're on a board of UMass Dartmouth. They're on the board of Charlton Memorial Hospital. They're on the board of XYZ. They're on the board of everything, and they have a lot of weight on those boards. So it gets back to the 1800s when those rich guys said, we elected a governor, a Republican governor on the East Coast, West Coast, and a Democrat on the East Coast, and we own all the congressmen and stuff. We're the rich and we control the country. Just goes to show that they have a lot of weight, and they even intimidate the media. Imagine a media outlet saying, I don't think it's newsworthy, when their parent company ran it as a major story because they're worried about, because Rhode Island is probably even worse than Massachusetts. Because in Rhode Island, it's small. Everybody knows everybody. And you can't get anything in Rhode Island unless you know somebody. You get Sheldon Booth for White House, handing out money. But this is the problem. And this is another classic example of why we have to change these politicians on a regular basis and ensure that our money is being spent wisely. No, it's true, Jeff. They are powerful, and they can rain a lot of terror on you. They can file frivolous lawsuits. They can do it, whatever. See, they have the money to do what we can't do. If we had his kind of money, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the only thing that changes, Fred, are the names until we change the way we have politicians. When we have politicians like, our forefathers, they wanted to make, people don't realize, they wanted to make George Washington a king. They actually did, because he created our country. He was the father of our country. And George Washington said, no, we created this country and our political system where we would serve the public and then go back to our farms and or whatever businesses we were running and let somebody else come in and serve the public. Everybody should work and give some time to the public good. That was their philosophy. And the end of this nation, as it was started, began when politics became a full-time, lifetime career. And now we see what these lifetime ticks in Washington do, what the lifetime ticks in Boston do, and what the lifetime ticks in Fall River do. This is why we've got to, it's up to the electorate. They gave us the greatest power in the world. Remember what it said.
Just so people know, here we go again with political violence. A Virginia councilman was set on fire in a personal attack at his office.
Oh, where was that, CJ?
Virginia.
Well, they glorify violence. They call people Nazis and they call people things and they vilify people. And they claim to be, the Democrats claim to be a party of unity, but they are the most disruptive, divisive. I could say divisive if I wanted to sound like I was rich, but divisive is actually as far as I'm concerned, party I've ever seen. Everybody is separated by a label. Your LBGQT plus, you're black, you're white, you're brown, you're chartreuse, you're green. And everybody, and then they call everybody who disagrees with them these horrible names. And how about that attack they had in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
2 white people got attacked by 20 some black people. They curb stomped the woman into unconsciousness. They beat the guy senseless.
Forward of the line peer report.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, of course they want to forget, Nelson. That's their trick. Remember what we said. We heard it at the council live, CJ and I. Keep your mouth shut, keep your head down. In a couple of weeks, they'll be on to another subject. Well, we can't. This country is being destroyed. I mean, violence. I watched the video of that thing. It was horrifying. I mean, that they had the guy in a fetal position and the women were beating him up, and I mean, I feel bad, obviously for the guy and the woman over there. But like I said, heaven forbid in this news media, because the news media is pro-Democrat. I can guarantee you, if 20 white people attacked 2 black people and did that to them, it would be on every national news media outlet on the planet, and it was not. They barely mentioned it. It was horrifying. They burnt a woman on a subway in New York. Now a politician. The recent shooting, obviously. I mean, this country is out of control, and you know why? No law and order. And where does it happen most of the time? In the states where no cash bail, they let them out. They let people with 72 felony convictions on their record out without bail. And go to the countries where there is swift and just punishment and people get thrown in jail. Even in Europe, my daughter just came back from France. She was there on on like a field trip, and she was amazed to say she saw the French police. They had machine guns, and she was like, "Oh my God!" She said, "They actually had like machine guns." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. That's the way it is in Europe." When I was in France decades and decades ago, we were driving through France on deuce and a half, going to a field exercise, and they had a stop, and they were looking for some criminals, and of course we were military vehicles, so they just kind of like stopped us and then just glanced and just waved us through. And then we went about 100 yards down the road, and there were two 50 caliber machine guns set up. So one of the officers in a lead truck just kind of asked the guy, what are these 50 calibers doing here? He said, well, that's in case they run the roadblock. If they run a roadblock 100 yards up the road, we shoot them. And you know something? You don't want to go to jail no matter what. I was in the Dominican Republic one time, and I had a guide taking us around the city, Santo Domingo, and he said, oh, there's the jail. And he said, nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail in these European countries or South American countries. They're not nice places. They don't have televisions and gyms. You're there to be punished. And when you get a sentence over there, you're not a happy camper. I used to know some drug addicts years ago that used to go to jail every winter. They'd get locked up and spend the winter there so they could clean themselves up, lift some weights, get in good shape, and come back out in the springtime. And they told me that without shame. I get locked up all the time so I can spend the winter, in jail, get 3 hots in a cot and work out. So this is the society we've created.
And now Paul Heroux is putting air conditioning in the jail cells to keep everybody happy. Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Listen, you will never make one of these radical Democrats happy. They're going to say it's too hot, even though it's air conditioned. And then they'll go in, and if the air conditioning brings the temperature down to 60, they'll say it's too cold.
Yeah. Hey, David Oliveira says Coogan and Mayor Fiola all need to be watched because they're shady. We already know that. That's for sure.
No, yeah. Well, I'm glad you said Mayor Fiola, because we all know that Paul Coogan has demonstrated by the way, he still thinks he's in the park. I mean, that meeting, I still go back to that meeting. I was horrified with the side banter and the kind of use of, like, we're in my living room arguing over a boxing match. Who's winning? I think no, hey, it's like talking over the chair, screaming over the chair's head. She was right to the right of Coogan, and it's like she's yelling, "Get Shelly in here!" What was she doing? Checking the lettuce on his sandwich? I don't know. But these people are disgraces. They are not elected representatives of the people. They're political hacks. They're bums. Bums.
Hey, I've got a message here. To the jackass who redesigned Duval Street and the asshole committee who approved it. Kiss my ass. It's nothing but a clusterfuck. Oh, and as we close the show, Christopher Sylvia, candidate for mayor, has announced he's going to have his campaign kickoff on Pleasant Street. Not in a business, not in an establishment, on the sidewalk in front of the old Ethan Allen store, where it all began. Where he got his $600 for food? Right there. And he's soliciting donations. $5 a pop. Drop it off in cash at his store. Or mail it to him. You know why it's $5? It avoids reporting to OCPF. Kind of shady. I guess he is a politician. It's starting to look like it more and more. I firmly believe that Christopher Sylvia was put in this race to siphon off the votes. And that's the way that's going to be. So...
Yeah. And before you close, CJ, Jeffrey just brought up a point. We get so excited. There's so many things going on. Like I said, I don't even know if it's Wednesday. It seems like it's just one day. Yet we have to recognize the police officers in New York. The police officer in New York who was killed, the security guard, and obviously the 2 people, occupants in that building, in that attack by another lunatic loose in our society. And what do the Dems do? They start talking about gun control again. It's all they know how to talk gun control. Well, New York's one of the hardest. It's probably the second hardest, or maybe the hardest place in the world to get a gun. And that guy didn't come up there. And it's not the gun, by the way. It's the nuts. You got this guy.
It's the nuts gun wielding the gun. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Vote, vote, vote. We'll see you on Friday when the weather is supposed to be nice. Thank you.
Believe it when I see it.